Welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick with the City of Hampton. And today we're going to talk about a program that offers some money to grassroots organizations that are doing work to help get and make sure kids stay on the right path. My guest is Synethia White. Welcome.
Hello.
This is called, I'm going to let you describe it, Youth Violence Prevention Mini Grants, is that right?
It is the Youth Violence Prevention Mini Grant Program.
And it's been going on for how long now?
The program started, I believe it was developed in 2013 and launched in 2014 with an intentional focus on funding organizations in the community and grassroots level that were doing work to prevent violence in their communities. I
think it's important, one of the things that you and I've talked about offline, not as much on TV, is that these are broad community programs to help kids in areas that are prone to violence. It doesn't mean any of these kids necessarily are. It doesn't mean they're on the wrong path. It's just that statistically that they may have or may live in an area that increases their chances, right?
I mean, we ask the organization to apply to make sure they are addressing individual, social, or community risk factors. And to be clear, as you said, the presence of risk factors doesn't mean that a young person is going to get involved in negative activities, but we would like to do our part to make sure that those organizations have the resources to, kind of change the cycle per se, and to make it make more balanced opportunities for engagement. Most young people are, well beyond what we think, and I think that often adults limit what they would see. So that's why we allow organizations to apply and input or implement a variety of programming, as long as they are utilizing best practices or evidence-based models to do their work, because we don't want to fund a program that's a whole lot of fun for the young people and they have a good time, but they've not learned anything or have not developed any social emotional skills or others or refusal skills that will benefit them in avoiding getting involved with the wrong group of folks or making bad decisions.
Okay, so two paths I want to talk about. One, if you're an organization, what do you need to know? But then I'm going to ask you about kind of what does this do for the community? What kinds of things are we funding, and how does that help? So first of all, though, I think agencies out there want to know how they can get money, what kind of money they can get.
Well, the first thing that we encourage agencies to do is to go to our webpage, hampton.gov/youth opportunities. And select the mini grant program and go over our policies, because you'll learn a lot of very important information. Not to go over them in their entirety, but you'll learn that the money cannot be used for cash giveaways or in any fundraising activities. However, it can be used to incentivize in other ways young people who participate in the program. The applicants who are interested in applying are eligible to apply for up to $20,000 in a full year. We do break our year into 2 cycles, and so they could apply for 1 cycle and their budget is $20,000. They could apply for 2 that add up to $20,000, or they could apply for 1. Organizations who develop their proposals will develop their budget based on what they intend to do. And so on our website, you'll find the application, which is very, very user-friendly. Each year we make sure that we go through it and make sure we haven't created any unnecessary hurdles for an organization. We don't remove anything, of course, that has information that we really do need to make our decision or by law needs to be there. And then they will also find the budget form. We provide the budget form and an intent to use form for our community center and neighborhood center facilities.
Because they can save, if they don't have their own facility, they can save money by using one of the city facilities, don't have to pay rent somewhere, it all makes sense. Now, if there's a church or other building that they can use in an area that gets them in a different place, maybe that's fine too.
Right.
But that way they can kind of stretch their costs.
Right, because there's often the misconception of if you build it, they will come. Young people want to know what the value is for them, and they want to participate in things that are developed in a thoughtful manner. So it's good to, if you are able, to partner with someone who already has some traffic. They already have young people engaged and involved. And even in this application process, this year you have to show us how you've worked with young people to develop your proposal.
And that's really interesting because I think some organizations are kind of top down, like people my age are like, I know what I liked when I was a kid. Well, that was, more than a couple years ago. Right. And you have, as you built your department, really spent a lot of time talking to today's young people about what they want, how they operate, how they work, but coordinating that with also what they need and kind of piecing that all together. Right. How do you explain that to organizations, or do a lot of them already kind of know that?
I think we operate with the misconception that young people may not know what they need. And I think that when you talk to them and really listen to them, you'd be surprised at the concerns that they share and how vocal they are. I just think that they need to be in a setting where they're made comfortable and they're allowed to be themselves, that they're not propping themselves up temporarily for something they think that someone else wants to see. And as a parent, which I am, there are some things that I do believe that my children need. But how I expose them to that can be done in different ways. And that's why there's freedom in parenting. So I think there's also freedom in program development. However, if you don't allow any young people any input, and then you want to know why they're not participating or why it's not interested to them, you have to kind of look in the mirror and look at that. So I think that what we've encouraged the organizations to do is say, look, this is what we do. This is why we do it, because we don't want any smoke and mirrors. We don't want to give a false pretense of what their program is for. But how do we make this interesting? When do we hold this? What would make you comfortable inviting your friends to participate? Just the small questions that can help you develop your proposal to make sure that it's something young people want. And then also taking it a step further, some of the organizations may say, well, we need you. How can we include you in this proposal to help us implement this project?
So what are some programs that have been funded through this, and what's the kind of success that they've had? And it may be early to see long-term success, but just short-term gains.
Well, in this year's program, we have some organizations that are working on employability as well, but they are specifically targeting young people who may have been involved in the juvenile justice system, because there's a different set of needs that young person may need, especially if their family or community dynamics are not supportive. We have an organization that's working now. And they are working around media, and they are developing PSAs around violence prevention. So developed by young people for young people. And with that program, Sean Slaughter of Life Power Music Mentoring is taking them through that. They are going to be working on Macs. They'll be working out of a local high school. And then when the young people complete the program, they will receive a pair of Beats by Dre headphones.
That is nice incentive, and it's got two components, because you've worked with the youth who do it, but presumably they've produced something that's going to speak to other youth. So you're reaching two audiences in something like that.
Right. And giving them a skill set that I think is viable in the market. So they're touching on quite a few things. In the past, we've funded Community Builders Network for their Summer Leadership Institute for Youth, and oftentimes they include young people who are not 16, but that also gives them some training, and they work in local sites in the community, and they take trips and do different youth development activities, and then at the end of the program they receive a stipend.
So it's really very broad and very diverse.
Yes.
The kinds of programs. How do you possibly decide? With really limited money, how do you pick which ones?
It is not an easy task, but we let everyone know that we utilize a rubric. This year it is going to be a little bit different. We are going to go through the packets as staff and make sure everything that they have to have is there, and make sure they're able to do business in the state of Virginia and all of those things. And then we're going to meet with a bunch of young people and say, look, this is what we're looking at. Is this something you would participate in? Is this something that's already taking place in your neighborhood? Is it something you would like to see? To let them give us their feedback on those proposals, and then we'll complete our scoring. So it is tough. It is not easy, but we block off a good amount of time to just focus on that, to make sure that we are choosing programs that have followed the guidelines and are doing the work to be successful, making sure that we have a spread throughout our community, and make sure
you don't want to. A spread means what?
In different
age or neighborhoods,
different audiences, and then a variety of activities as well. So we won't take all of the money that we have available and fund only sports programming, because not every young person is interested in sports.
Okay, or you won't put it all in Phoebus, or you won't.
Right.
You've got to look at all that mix of things. Okay. I'm sorry, I interrupted. Were you done?
Oh no, I'm done.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to add before we close, Synethia?
No. If they have questions, they can give us a call. Actually, I honestly prefer email over for the grant program, because sometimes we're asked questions that we need to forward on to others to get the best response. And we're excited to review the applications.
One thing I was going to say is you don't intend to use this money to fund a program ongoing in the same way.
Right.
This is kind of seed money to get new things started.
Right. So if you're looking at this particular program, you shouldn't look at this as the continual and promised funding source for a program. We have had organizations who have been funded for the same activity, but they've had to change something. And so this year with the young people, that opens up a whole new lens for us, and so we're excited about that. And so I can't wait to see for next year, what we have to share based on what we hear from the young people who reviewed this year. Well,
that'll be interesting when that level of involvement with young people, because no matter how great a program sounds, if people don't go, it's not successful.
Right.
So having that involvement early on, that filter that helps weigh that, is brilliant. That's a smart move.
Thank you.
So everything you do is smart, though. Congratulations, because these things keep getting stronger, and hopefully some of the things you've funded grow up and become their own programs, and then you can help get new ones started. Right. And all of this contributes to additional strength and resilience, which I know is one of those government buzzwords, but it does create resilience in our youth, create the ability to weather some of those risk factors and not let them cause additional problems, but gives people the ability to say, okay, I know how to handle this.
Right.
And that's what we're going for.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Synethia.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. I hope if you are an agency who is looking for funding, have a great idea, need to get started, you'll apply for this. But also, if you are a parent or a young person looking for programs, this is, kind of one way to start thinking about after school summer programs. Connect with their website, think about what's out there, and know that city tax dollars are going to help community resilience, young people, and strengthen what is going on in our community. Thanks for watching.